right on time. Thank you, Harris, and thank you, Chris Glick, for tickling those keys over there. Indeed. Let's give Chris Glick, Leon, and Brian some love this morning. Indeed. Our Sunday Go to Meeting Band. Yes, indeed. So, God morning, family. Welcome to live streaming and live service. We actually have live bodies here. Just a reminder, if you're at home watching this in your PJ Yamas, you could be right here in the warm sanctuary. It's bright and sunny in here. And if you step right outside and look to the north, you see snow on the mountaintops. Yes, indeed. We're coming to you live from beautiful downtown Pasadena, California, USA, in the heart of the Playhouse Village. That's our new name around this camp. Indeed. I'm Reverend Michael Bernard Lattimore, your guide on the side this morning, assistant minister. I'll be delivering a power talk, and Reverend Scott, our senior minister, is going to do the wisdom talk. The theme for this month is Transformative Love. That's a February theme, isn't it? Yeah. Transformative Love. And the topic today is healing through relationships. Healing through relationships, yes. Reminding us that, those relationships that we have, they're here for healing, indeed. And also, just for your point of information, today is day 28 of the 25th, actually, annual Season for Peace and Nonviolence. It's a 64-day observance from January 30th through April 4th. These are the dates of marking the assassinations of two great peacemakers we know, Dr. Martin Luther King and Mohandas Gandhi. And today is day 28. Each day has a theme, a quotation, a practice, and an affirmation. And today's theme is listening. Power of listening. The quotation by Margaret Wheatley says, "What if we were to willingly listen to one another with the awareness that we each see the world in unique ways?" What a possibility that could be. The affirmation today is, what would become possible if we each approached every conversation as an opportunity to learn? Today, I listen to others by listening for what I can learn from them. Listen to learn. I like that. And the practice, be fully present to each conversation you engage in and listen longer than usual and with more patience to what others are saying. Give the other person your full attention because nothing else really matters. Look directly at the person who's speaking without thinking about other things. What a practice that is. It's very powerful. When we do the prison project, I think that's the magic superpower that we take in, that we listen to learn, we listen to understand. And oftentimes when people have had great trauma in their life, they've never been listened to. And often they've never listened to themselves. So I like that today. Let's remember that. We want to thank all of the folks who make our service possible. Hiding out in the secret bat cave over here is practitioner Frederick Southern. He's doing our sound today. Thank you, good brother. We appreciate your service. Managing the flow of electrons, there he is. And Harris is our technical director, stage manager. Harris, thank you for all that you do and all that you are. And our hugs team, our ushers, heart-centered ushers and greeters. We've got Dorothy and Sandra at the back. If you didn't get your program, they're ready to be of service to you. And let's acknowledge each other for just showing up today and bringing all of this love into the room. Yes, thank you. And so with that, now we get to acknowledge Gabriel, who has lovingly, that's right. No mistakes. We paint it red and move forward, right? We are now going to have a congregational. Yes, one of my favorite songs. It is I Trust in God. There you go. Please stand and join us for the singing of I Trust in God.
I surrender trust in God. I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I trust in God. I trust in God. Now we do have a very special birthday today. We have to celebrate the man who keeps the beat going. It's Brian McAfee's birthday today. So we're gonna do a little happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brian. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Brian. Thank you, Grace. So now is the time where we get to have that opportunity on such a beautiful day. Reverend Mike mentioned the beautiful snow-covered mountains to the north. Man, takes me back to living in Alaska, actually, where you could actually see the snow on the mountains. And so it's just wonderful to be here with you today. And so let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. And just let it all out as we prepare for our morning meditation video.
Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. You say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. When the night falls down, I wait for you and you come around. And the world's alive with the sound of kids on the street outside. When you walk into the room, you pull me close and we start to move. And we're spinning with the stars above. And you lift me up in a wave of love. Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. We say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. When I feel alone, I reach for you and you bring me home. When I'm lost at sea, I hear your voice and it carries me. In this world we're just beginning to understand the miracle of living. Baby, I was afraid before, but I'm not afraid anymore. Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. You say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. We'll make heaven a place on earth. comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. We'll make heaven a place on earth. We'll make heaven a place on earth.
Thank you, Gabriel, for that video. And now I'd like to ask Lisa to come on up, and she's going to do our invocation and our reading. While she's coming up, I just want to remind everybody that we have two platforms. We have Facebook and we have also YouTube. And then we Zoom the Sunday service during our service. And I would suggest that if you're online and you're looking at Facebook, maybe switch over to YouTube. It tends to do a better presentation. Or you can always go to Zoom where there's other people hanging out with you. And you can find that by going to ahiah.com and hitting the red button at the top left that says live stream. So,
Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Take it away.
Good morning, everyone. I, too, have to mention, I drive up the 605 from Huntington Beach, and the mountains, the view was particularly spectacular. It had to be talked about, and so although we missed Harper, who always has a running commentary about the mountains in the car all the way up, whether we see them or not. If we don't see them, it's when are we going to see them? So I'm so happy to be here. Good morning, everyone. The reading this morning will be from 365, Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes. And the title is, I Clear My Mind of Discord. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. That's John 14:27. How are we going to heal ourselves and others? By first becoming convinced that love is a principle of nature. We have ample evidence, scientifically, logically, and intuitively, that there is no need for anyone in the world today to speak of love as mere sentimentality. We have to practice the presence of God as love, as friendship, as peace, as joy, if we would know the fullness of the adventure of living. It is a terrible burden to dislike people and to be critical. All it does is cover up a perpetual pain in our own heart. It is a whistling in the dark to keep up our own courage. How much easier is it to love people, to learn to forgive rather than to hold grudges? We should not go to bed at night until we have cleared our mind of every animosity. Love is the greatest healing agent on earth for our body as well as for our affairs. To be a friend is the greatest privilege I can experience. Therefore, I extend loving relationships to all I meet. I identify myself with the givingness of God's own nature, knowing that I am in league with the highest force in life. This message speaks to me personally because I used to think of healing as a destination. Like, I'm going to do all this work, and then I'm going to be healed. And I don't know why, but the image that would come to me is like me having hours and hours of leisure time to cut flowers from a garden I don't have, with this really great hat that never looks good on me. But that's always what would come up, like my own Kubla Khan, my own pleasure dome. And what I've learned, what I realize, is that healing is just part of the journey. It's just something that is like a living thing, and the classes and the books and the meditation and all of it definitely helps and is all important, but ultimately it comes from inside. And it's me knowing, really knowing, and standing in that truth of myself that I cannot be separate from God, that I am all that God is at all moments. And someone very wise to me said a few months ago that when I was finished with the toxic nonsense, that my job was causing me all the pain, that I would leave, I would be done with it. And In the last couple of months, I have managed to shut the door to a couple of personal relationships and that job. And just like the saying goes, I turned around and new opportunities were right there for me. So, yeah. Thank you. I'm a work in progress, for sure. So I'll just invite you to turn within. And let's take a deep breath, breathing in the love, the healing that God is, that we are. I recognize the one universal presence we call God, but goes by many names and answers to all as love, light, joy, healing, and so much more. I know I am one with this divinity because it is the very nature of God and my existence. And as I know this for myself, I affirm it for all of you and all creation. We are truly connected in these truths. For we know we are the love that God is, and that love is healing. Love is healing. I'm so grateful for this spiritual community that I love so much and to be a part of it. I know this morning's service is blessed. I give thanks and send blessings to our ministers, Reverend Scott Olson, Reverend Michael Lattimore, knowing today's message, as always, is divinely guided. I'm thankful for the musicians, all the volunteers, our amazing youth, and the entire Ahiah community, knowing we come together as one in love. And for this and so much more, I say thank you to Spirit. I release these words into the universal law and ask you to join me in saying, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. From one work in progress to another, that was a beautiful prayer. So, Lisa is our youth and family director. By the way, we are looking for a name for our youth and family program. So if you have any catchy ideas for what to name it, because we've been calling it youth and family ministry, and we think that we could come up with something better than that. You know, that's just a little bit dry. So if you have any ideas, let me or Lisa know. And so now I'd like to ask Faye to come on up, and while she's coming up, what I'd like you to do is just turn to each other and give a nice Ahiah warm welcome to all the people around you. No need to hug or anything, but, a smile and a wave. And I'll wave to the folks who are online, knowing absolutely that you're here in my heart. Mm-hmm. So let's give a nice warm welcome to Faye.
Thank you. This song is
Grace.
written
I'm sorry,
by,
Grace Fae.
It's Grace Fae. They're both my names. Chris wrote this next song, right? So it's beautiful, and he tells us all that when you don't know what to do, you can always look inside. It's always a good reminder. So thank you, Chris. When I want to look inside, you are all I see. My eyes are open wide. I know that you're with me. Look inside. Look inside. Look inside. Just look inside. When I slowly close my eyes, I feel you in my heart. Bluebirds sing close by. I no longer feel apart. I look inside. Look inside. Just look inside. I know that you are the only one for me. You are my one, my only one. It is only you I see. Your love light shines so true. Your spirit all I need. For I am one with you. Look inside. Look inside. Look inside. Just look inside. Look inside. Oh, look inside. Look inside. Just look inside. Come on, you guys know it by now. Look inside. Look inside. Look inside. Just look inside. Yes. And Chris, that song came to him from above, from inside.
And you have the perfect voice for that song,
thank
too. Absolutely. Thank you, Grace. So, February's theme has been transformative love. So we've been talking about that all February long. Transformative love, how we transform through love, how we change through love. And so when I think about the nature of love, what I think about is the fact that, you know, one thing I'm very, very sure about love is that it is nonviolent in nature. There's no violence in love whatsoever. And so when we truly love another person, and by that what I mean is that it's real love. It's not conditional love. It's the love that doesn't require them to be anything else than what they are right now, already. They don't have to change in order to satisfy me. And I don't also need them to satisfy any of my needs. Right? That's a real key piece of it. That in real love, we love someone for who they are, and maybe they will satisfy some of my needs, but you know, they get to choose which needs they're going to satisfy. I don't get to tell them. And if we truly, truly come from that place of real love, then there can be no violence, because there's no need to change anyone. They don't have to change. And so this season that we are in right now is this season of nonviolence that Reverend Mike talked about. So he talked about what is today. I want to show you a chart that shows us what is the season of nonviolence for this coming week then. And it says here, there's some little words that you may not be able to see there, but it's the theme for week 5, and it says, In order to create a peaceful world, we must learn to practice nonviolence with one another in our day-to-day interactions. Nonviolence with one another in our day-to-day interactions. And then it has a daily theme. This chart starts tomorrow and goes all the way through next Sunday, a week from today. And so it gives a daily theme for each of those days, and it starts out with forgiveness. And then it's amends, and then praising, and then patience, and then acknowledgement. And if we do each of those things with all the people that we're in relationship with, then I think it naturally leads us to the last two, which is love and understanding. And so this is a great list for us to keep in mind as we think about transformative love and how that shows up in our lives and how we can show that love to other people and practice nonviolence with other people then. Now today in our meditation video, one of the phrases it says is, they say in heaven, love comes first, right? And that's what makes heaven on earth. And so my question to you then is, how does love in your life show up when we make heaven a place on earth? When we let love show up in all of our relationships, and therefore heaven is a place on earth, how does love and that show up for you? So I'll give you an example for me is if there's truly love in all of my relationships, real love, where I don't need to have anybody change or be any way different, then there's no shame anymore, right? That love, erases all shame. What else do you guys think? If you yell it out, I'll repeat it so the people online can hear it. What do you guys think? Peace. Peace. Reverend Mike says there's peace on earth. If this is true love like this, there's peace on earth.
We can help make people feel safe by true love.
Make people feel safe through love. Yeah. Compassion. Yeah, there's going to be compassion on earth, meaning that we feel the suffering of other people, and through that feeling, we want to help them. Yeah. How about joy? Yeah, there's joy on earth. If there's really love without people having to change, then there would be a lot more joy in the world. Absolutely. A couple more that I thought about is, if there's truly that kind of love on earth, then nobody's getting manipulated, right? Nobody is manipulating anybody. And if there's truly that love on earth, then there's no envy, because we're happy for the people who have whatever they have. And to be honest, if there was truly that true love on earth, we would share our resources more evenly, I think, too. So, heaven is a place on earth, Reverend Mike, don't you agree? I agree. Well, why don't you come on up here and tell us a little bit more about what you think about that.
Thank you, Rev. There's so much synchronicity going on this morning, just everything. I mean, the music, look inside, the idea of transformative love, the idea of it being inside of us, that love is inside of us. It's a reminder to me that I've got this perpetual love-making machine right here in the middle of my chest. It's called a heart, and it beats love every second, every moment of my existence. It's beating love as life force, right? It has an energy. Science is now saying that there's an energetic coming from my heart that they can measure 8 feet out around my body. They said that the reason they can only measure 8 feet is because that's the limitation of their equipment. But my dog knows I'm home when I make the corner. You know, she can feel the heart energy, you know, farther than 8 feet. Yes? So we are miracles. And you know, what's occurred to me through our metaphysical Bible class is that, you know, Paul said, when I was a child, I thought as a child, you know? And so when I was a kid and I took catechism lessons, the Bible to me was a literal book, you know? All the stories were literal, the people were literal, everything was literal. God being angry was literal. Even the fact that God was in heaven far away from me and that there was space between me and God was what I thought was true growing up. But now that I've grown up, I have a new idea, right, that has been filtered not only through my heart, but through this place called consciousness. Came up in our Friday class, Annette asked, what is consciousness? And we had a good discussion about it. And that is the question. When we look inside and we ask ourselves, who am I? What do I want? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Consciousness responds. So consciousness is not something that, you know, we could put in the dictionary and say, consciousness is this. It's not an intellectual exercise. It is an experiential exercise. It's like love, right? We could all come up with different interpretations about what love is, but it's experiential. And, you know, John said in John 4:18, it says, there is no fear in love, that perfect love casts out fear. Meaning that when I'm in love, there's nothing else. There is no God and. No. In the old way of thinking when I was a kid, I thought that there was a God and the devil, that there was good and evil. What I know today is that evil is a creation of human mind. Our thought creates an idea that there could be something other than God. Because in truth, there is only God. And that is not an intellectual exercise. It's an experiential one. We have to prove it to ourselves. And so that's what we're here doing today. We're actually experiencing it, proving it. We are coming into an awareness that there were old false assumptions, old ideas that we had when we were kids, and that there are new discoveries occurring moment by moment by moment. Even in our consciousness, these new discoveries are emerging, new understandings of love and the power to transform. So I'm going to say this, I'm going to shut up. You know, we go into a place called a prison. And in that prison, there are people who have received feedback from the universe that the way of life that you are experiencing is not in alignment with spiritual principles. Right? And we used to have an idea that we could throw things away. We thought, oh, I'm tired of this old thing, I'm going to throw it away. And we threw it away. And then we discovered there is no away. All that plastic, that trash, that stuff we thought we were throwing away, guess where it is? It's floating out there in the Pacific Ocean, right? It's floating out in the water somewhere. There is no away. We can't throw anything away, including people. 95% of people that are incarcerated are coming home one day. And we want them to come home in better shape, in a better realization of love than they experienced when they went in. And so those 7 principles that Reverend Scott shared about the season for nonviolence, those are the principles we practice through this perpetual love-making machine inside of us. We go inside and we listen. And we talk to them about ideas like forgiveness of self. That our behavior is not who we are. You know, we've all acted bad sometimes, you know, in various degrees. And when we listen to the stories of people incarcerated, we can say to ourselves, there, but for the grace of God, maybe under the same circumstances, I might have made the same choice. You know, you just never know. So the miracle is that we can walk around the planet with this perpetual love-making machine, and we can listen to people, we can look at them, and we can have an impact just by the force of consciousness that we are. Because we are that consciousness. We are that idea in the mind of the one. So glad to be here with you all in love and just enjoying it. Can't wait to hear the rest of your talk, Rev. Thank you, family. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Reverend Mike. So, got some things to think about. Thank you. You know, one thing I wanted to mention is one of our practitioners, Jackie, talked to me this morning. She said she is so full right now because she's been doing the Tuesday night book study on the way of mastery, and she's been doing the Friday metaphysical Bible. And those things together are just filling her up to overflowing. So, you know, I want to congratulate you and Alpha Jerry and Marcia for all the stuff that you're doing. So this week the talk title is Healing Through Relationships. And, you know, when I think about that, I think, you know, that physics mind that I have, I'm like, well, why? What causes that healing? What is it about relationships, and how do they work so that I end up with healing at the end of them? And I thought, well, you know, this is February, Transformative Love. That's got to be the answer, and I think it is. That it's love, the power of love that shows up in all of our relationships. Now, do you recognize the guy on the screen here? Well, that you probably don't, because and this isn't an actual picture of anybody. It is it is kind of the average picture. If you were to ask what the average guy who lived in Galilee in the first century and that was Jewish, what he would look like this. Not like the, you know, brown-eyed, white-skinned, brown-haired, white-skinned, blue-eyed man we've seen so often depicted as Jesus. So I don't know if this is his real picture or what he actually looks like. I don't think anybody knows. But the important thing is what does he sound like? What did he say? And one of the things he said, according to the Bible, John 13:34, he says, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so must you love one another." And when we look at what we know about the life of Jesus, I think that was true for him. As I have loved you, you should love each other. And he showed tremendous love in this world, I think. He showed it by who did he associate with? You know, it would have been easy for a man in his station, being this well-known prophet, minister, rabbi, I'm not sure exactly what the right title is to put against him, but he could have easily, you know, stayed with the rich always, talked to the rich always, and yet his love for people meant that he was out with everyone. When he did the Sermon on the Mount, who was there? It was the average people, the normal people were there. And we also know that he went out and he made sure that he visited people like the lepers, for instance. In Jewish society that had such an emphasis on cleanliness, you had to clean, you had to cleanse yourself spiritually and physically in order to go to the temple. For him to go to visit the lepers who were required to live away from people, to cover themselves up. And if they went out in any way and saw any other person, they had to be yelling, "Unclean, unclean, I am unclean." And yet Jesus went to visit them. So he visited marginalized people, prostitutes, there's stories in the Bible, people that in his day would have been shunned. And so we can take that message from Jesus. I think it's a great message. Love one another. Another quote I have here is from Ernest Holmes, the founder of this philosophy, and he says, "The only healing there is the healing which comes from loving ourselves and others." Truly, truly true. Truly, truly true. It's the truth. It's as true a statement as we can make. Because as we love one another, we heal. What we need to heal is revealed, and we get a choice. You know, relationships, they're all about people, really. The relationships we're talking about, healing through relationships, it's about being with other people and being with ourselves in that way also, of a relationship with myself. And those relationships are what change us. It's how people change us, is through this relationship, this communication, this way that we have of being with one another. And we're taught from people both positive and negative. You know, what they say, that everybody who comes into our life is a teacher. Everyone. And so some people, they come into our lives and they inspire us. People like Jesus. I didn't know Jesus, but the fact that he was there, the words that he said were written down, I can have a relationship with him. The same with Martin Luther King and Gandhi. Their message of nonviolence, of peace, of love, you know, means that we have this season of nonviolence that we're living through right now. It's a message that is way lived beyond them. Maybe not as long as Jesus, but we'll see what happens, right, as the years go. And then there's more personal relationships, people that I know personally, people like family and friends and coworkers and people in my spiritual community. All these people have impact on me. They can transform me in that relationship that we have. And some people bring up what's called universal doubt. Universal doubt is the doubt that I have in myself. And there's lots of forms of universal doubt. It's universal because we all share in this doubt that we have about ourselves. Doubt that looks like, you know, no one wants me, needs me, or loves me. I'm unworthy, unnecessary, and useless. I'm inadequate to meet life. I don't have the power or the will to overcome obstacles. I don't fit in anywhere. You guys ever feel some of those? Yeah. I think it's human. It's natural. It's you know, part of our race consciousness, so to speak, that we have these universal doubts that are kind of, you know, some of them are more core to us than others. And so we are reminded of them by people. Now the problem is that everybody who comes into your life is a teacher. Does that sound right? Yeah, it does. But we don't always notice. We don't always act from the place that this person has come into my life to be a teacher. And therefore, sometimes some of our teachers stay around a little bit longer than they were needed to. We all know a few of those, right? They keep showing back up. And sometimes it's the same teacher but a different person. You know what I mean? You know, I'm being taught the same lesson in the same way, but it's a different person. It's kind of like that thing if I divorced my wife and I married somebody who is exactly the same person. I didn't personally, but so we get the opportunity to look at, well, why am I not learning what it is that they're teaching? What keeps us from seeing it? Well, I think there's a few ways that shows up in our lives. One is we're completely unaware that they're teaching us anything. Completely unaware. We have filtered them out. You know, it's almost like we don't even know they're there. And so they just keep teaching and we just keep ignoring. And so the problem is they keep being there. They don't go away. They're not going to leave, or maybe they leave and somebody else comes and takes their place, but that lesson will still be getting taught to me over and over and over again until I become aware of it and heal through it. Sometimes I think we think we're teaching, that they are teaching us something else. For instance, we keep going. They're teaching us one thing, and we keep going back to our favorite universal doubt. You know, so for instance, they might be, the real message might be love yourself. And yet I'm coming from this place of, you know, I am unlovable. And they're just there to remind me to love myself. Or they might be there to remind me to see where I really look at myself as powerless. And they're really there to teach me that I am powerful, that I can get past any obstacle. Not the little I me, the big I me. The I that lives as the life that God is. That I has all the power of the universe behind it, because it is all the power in the universe. And so some people come into my life and remind me by showing me where I think I'm powerless. And then another reason why I don't see what I'm supposed to be learning is that I don't see who they really are. I pigeonhole them. You know what that term means? You know, pigeonholing? Well, when you have a lot of pigeons, you know, if people keep pigeons, what they do is they punch little holes in a board, right? And the nest is back behind in a little cubicle thing behind the hole. So the pigeon goes in that hole. This is your hole. And they have this little place to express themselves in that space. And the same pigeon always goes in the same hole. And so when I'm pigeonholing you, then I'm telling you, you have to be this person. You are to me this person in this small little definition, even though we know people all show up as more than tiny little things. We are infinite in nature, just like divine is. And so we have lots and lots and lots of desires, personality, ways of being in life. And yet what I'll do is I'll pigeonhole someone and I'll label them. That's where labels come in, where we define people by the way we want to interact with them or the way that we think we're interacting with them. And so you might, label somebody as the doting lover, for instance, somebody who loves me so much. Or you might label them as the mean boss. Or you might label them as the annoying neighbor. We have lots of labels for people. And sometimes what they're here to teach us doesn't fit the label that we've given them. And so we don't get the message. They keep annoying us. The annoying neighbor keeps annoying us, but we're never going to get rid of that annoying neighbor. That relationship that we have is never going to change because we're not learning the lesson that's associated with that person. So, sounds like a bit of a conundrum, doesn't it? You know, here I am with all these people who are teachers, and yet I'm not learning the lesson. So what do I do about that? How do I change that relationship with them? How do I actually see what I need to see? Well, I think the first thing is to really recognize that everybody around you is very, 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 very multifaceted. When we label somebody, not only are we pigeonholing them, we are not allowing them to do the work in our lives that we need. You know, the people that are teaching us the lesson, they don't have to be these long-term relationships. They can just come into our life for a moment. Give us the message that we need. If we are aware, if we are looking for things to learn from this relationship and we pick up the message that they are here to teach us, then we can heal through that relationship. We can transform through that relationship. I think we have to recognize that those people have their own loves, desires, ways of being. Take away the label, and we'll find out. So, how is it that they point to the thing that I need to learn? That's the question that I should be asking myself. Well, I remember, an example of that. Somebody was in my life for a long, long time, and it took a lot of years for me to learn the lesson that she was trying to teach me. And for those of you who have been around for a while with me, I've been here for 4.5 years. My mother passed away 4 years ago, in just a few days from now. And I am so grateful that I learned the lesson from her before she passed away. Actually, I had quite a few years of having learned that lesson. So my mother was a helper type. She was the type of person that would give the shirt off of her back if you needed it. Of course, she would remind you that she gave you the shirt off of her back. And she was also the type that approached everything in life from, a place of being, the polite term for it is manipulator. So she would, tell everybody what she thought, and she really expected you to change. And if you didn't change, then she would, try and maneuver you into the right course of being, right? Oh, yes. And so that activity, that piece about her it just drove me nuts. It truly, truly, truly drove me nuts. And she had this way of always knowing the best for everyone. And she had this way there was a way that she would tell her stories. She always had stories, and she would tell them. And one of my favorite ways of ending her story, which came up a lot, was, and then the cop got him, right? So, so she would say something like, there was a man, and he was behind me, and he was tailgating me, and when he, went by me, I honked my horn so he knew that he was doing something he wasn't supposed to. And then he went up ahead of me, and he went around a corner, and when I came up on that corner, cop got him. Or I remember a story where she said that this busboy, she used to work as a waitress for part of her life, and she said she told this busboy she knew he was stealing her tips. She knew it. And if he did stop, if he did change his ways, something bad was going to happen. And the next day she came in, the cop got him. So my mom, she had quite the way with her, but it would annoy me to no end. It would annoy me to no end that she wanted me constantly to change. And it would annoy me because her life was chaotic. My mom's life was just, to me, this is my judgment, right? My judgment is my mom's life was a chaotic mess. And yet she wanted to tell me how to live my life. One day, I actually started to learn. I started to learn from her. The lesson had nothing to do with actually doing what she said. And thankfully, the cop never got me. But what I did find out was that I learned about me. I learned about me that I need deep inside of me, I need order. Deep inside of me, I didn't see the world as a safe place. Deep inside of me, what I was really trying to do was keep order around me in a way that actually reflected my mom. And so, by learning that lesson, by actually watching her, listening to her, and asking the question, what do I need to learn out of this situation? I was able to change my life in a meaningful way. And the good news is that for the last 15 or more years of my life, of my mom's life, she and I got along great. Because it didn't matter anymore how she presented herself. It didn't matter anymore that she still continued to try to manipulate me. It just didn't matter. Because I had learned the lesson that I was supposed to learn from her. And that changed the world. And so, when we're dealing with people that aren't teaching us the pretty, pleasant, nice, easy to digest lessons, when we're dealing with people that are coming to teach us something that we would consider negative, it's really not negative. It actually has a positive way of being. I just have to look for it. And what I have to remember is that they are not an obstacle in the way of my growth. They are not an obstacle in my path through life. They're not standing there in order to, make me try and go around them. They're there to teach me something. They're there to remind me that the actual real lesson always, always, always is to look inside. Right, Chris? It's to look inside and know that the power that God is there. To look inside and know the peace that God is already there. To look inside and know that everything that we need, everything that we want, everything that we desire, everything that brings us more and more and more into alignment is already there. It's already the truth of us. And that healing that we're talking about, that healing through relationships, that healing is just a revealing of the truth that is already inside of us. We don't have to change because we already are it. That's the truth of who we are. And so I want to leave you with an affirmation here that was made by Harris. By the way, Harris is in practitioner training now. So we're very happy that, in another year or so, he'll be one of our practitioners here. And so his affirmation is showing on our screen here. Let's say it together. Knowing with God, all things are possible. Let's say that again. Knowing with God, all things are possible. And so, as you go out into your week this week, what I'd like you to remember is a few things. One, make heaven a place on earth. Make this world that we're living in already heaven on earth. And we do that by letting love come first, and by healing, by loving yourself and others. And then let your relationships heal you. That's what they're there for. That is what all of our relationships are actually doing. Remember that everyone that has a relationship with you in life is your teacher. It's our job to find out what is it that they're trying to teach us. And one way to help is don't pigeonhole them. Don't label them. Don't require them to show up in your life in one way, because they're probably there to show up in a different way that we're just completely ignoring. And then don't be aware of their real lesson. Be aware of their real lesson. We walk around not being aware, so we're going to change and we're going to be aware of the real lesson that they're teaching. And as always, if you're not quite sure how to do that, just let Spirit guide you. Thank you, and namaste. And so Chris is going to play a little bit as we go into prayer. I invite you to come along with me to that place inside of you that knows that it knows that it knows. This place inside of me, I get out of my head, I take an elevator, I go down to my heart, and when those elevator doors open up, all I know, all I see is love. All I see is the love that is back behind everything, that has always been love. Even when I've labeled it and pigeonholed it as something else, what I know is all that is there, all the universe is built from, is the love that Spirit is. And as that's the truth of Spirit, as that's the truth of this one life, one power, one presence that we sometimes call God, I know it to be the truth of myself. I know it to be the truth of everyone here at Ahiah today. I know it to be the truth of those of you who are watching online and those of you who aren't. We are all this life, this power, this presence, this love, this divine love, this place of love and peace and joy, this place inside of us that is never needed to change because it is already whole, perfect, and complete. And it's from that place of knowingness that I speak my word today, right here, right now, as the truth of each and every one of us, that we are that life, that power, that presence. We are the life of God, the life of Spirit, the life of all of the universe moving through us and as us. And so as we move through this life and we know and we come into relationship with people, we know that there's something there, something that goes back and forth between each of us, that each of us is the teacher for the other one. There's a teacher-student relationship that is in all relationships. And so I recognize that and I honor it. And I know absolutely that Spirit, even when I'm not quite sure, Spirit is always, always, always there, showing me in ways that I can understand, that I can see, that I can comprehend, that I can put into my life. Ways of being that just show love. Ways of being that bring love more fully into my life. Ways of being that transform me and transform the world around me. Because as we are, that is what's reflected back into our lives, naturally and fully, and so orderly. And for knowing that to be the truth, knowing this expansive nature of myself and all of you, I just give thanks. And I release this prayer to the law, knowing that it's already fulfilled in the mind that God is. And I say, life and God are good and very good. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen. And so now is the time for our conscious contributions. And so as you have an opportunity to give consciously. If you're here at Ahiah, there are offering envelopes in the pews, and so you can put whatever you're giving, put your name on the envelope so we know who it came from. And we have Sandra and Dorothy walking up the sides, and they'll take your offering. There's also other ways for you to give. You can give online. We have Ahiah.com/donate is an easy way to give. We also have text to give, where you can text the word give to 616-229-2225. Then it sends you back a link so you can put your information in. Once you've done it, though, you just tell it how much money you want to give it after that, and it just gives. It's very, very simple. And then you can always mail a check in to us at 150 North El Molino Avenue, Pasadena, California, 91101. And if you put a little note in to me, it makes my week. It really does. I love to read those notes. So however you give, let's go ahead and read the blessing on the screen together. This gift I give is God in action. I send it forth with joy, confidence, and ease. I am blessed by the law of giving and receiving as I now share my gift with life. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Amen and amen. And so now I'd like to ask, not Elizabeth Hangen, how about Grace Fae to come on up? She's going to sing another song for us. Yes, yes. Maybe one of our teenagers wants to. Yeah. Oh, Alex wants it. Yep.
That's right, because you guys know this one, so we can all sing along.
Yes.
It's a happy one. Here, Reverend Scott. You get the big one. That's right. Your love is lifting me higher than I've ever been lifted before. So keep it up, quench my desire, and I'll be by your side forevermore. You know your love keeps on lifting me. Yes, it's lifting me higher and higher. I closest friend. But then you came and he soon departed, and I never saw his face again. That's why your love is lifting me. Yes, it's lifting me higher and higher. I said your love keeps on lifting me. Yes, it's lifting me higher and higher. All right. You guys, your love keeps lifting me. Your love keeps lifting me. That's a good one. Your love keeps lifting me. Your love keeps lifting me. I'm so glad I finally found you. Yes, that 1 million man. And now with your love and arms wrapped around me, well, I'm gonna stand up and face the world again. Oh, your love is lifting me higher than I've ever been lifted before. So keep it up, quench my desire, and I'll be at your side forevermore. Now everybody ready? Your love keeps lifting me. Your love keeps lifting me. Your love keeps lifting me higher, higher. Your love keeps lifting me. Your love keeps lifting me higher and higher. One more time. You know your love is lifting me higher. Oh, it's lifting me higher and higher. I said your love keep on. Oh, it's lifting me higher and higher. It's lifting me, oh, it's lifting me higher and higher. Your love, it's lifting me higher. Oh, lifting me higher and higher. Good job.
Yes, yes, yes.
Way to
Lifting
bring the
me
joy.
higher. Yeah, so we have a bunch of teens that are going to come on up and tell us a little bit about what they've done today. There's a passel of teens.
Good morning. So we have a teen group today, which was great. And this is Ray, and she's going to tell you what we talked about today.
Hi. So today we talked about paradoxes, which are statements that at first may seem to be contradictory, but upon reflection, you can see that they actually make some sense. And for example, Picasso said, "Art is a lie that makes us realize the truth," which makes sense in that when you create art, it's something that comes from your imagination, and technically it may not be real, but it can help us realize truth in that it can depict real events and real emotion and things like that. And so after we talked about some paradoxes like these, we related them to paradoxes in our own lives, and yeah, that's what we did.
Thank you. Very well said, Ray.
I think they do a workshop every week.
Yeah. Also, I heard Reverend Scott mention that we want to rename our group name, and so I from Youth and Family Ministries, and I'm just excited to hear what people come up with. So we're open to all suggestions. Yeah, we'll have it be a contest. What a good idea! That's a good idea. All right, and I think that's all from us. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to Matthias and Malachi, who are also our teen help, our teen advisors.
Very much so. Thank you for reminding me of that. Today they were like part of the teen group, so I forgot to
All right, so just a few announcements here. We talked about the live streaming, so please, if you are watching online, this is the best way to go, is go to ahiah.com and then hit the red button there for live stream, and it gives you all the options. And then today is our fourth and final class, well, at least final for a little while. We'll talk to the people in the class and see if we want to go deeper. But we've done 3 classes already on the Enneagram, and today is actually the payoff day. So if you're at home and you've been in the Enneagram class, you're watching this now, it'd be a great idea to take your PJs and switch them for some real clothes and come on down. Because we're going to be talking about what we do based on which type of the Enneagram we are. What do we do in order to live a life of integration versus disintegration? Don't you want to be integrated instead of disintegrated? I think I do. So today at 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, right there in the fellowship hall. And then we have a class coming up. This is a picture of Reverend Carol Lotz. You've seen her here before. She sang, she spoke, she's done practitioner level workshops. On March 12th, she'll be here from 1 to 3 at Ahiah to do a mind-body healing workshop. She is a chaplain in her work life, and so she works in hospitals, and she has a lot of experience with mind-body healing from that perspective. And she wants to come here and share some of that experience with you. She's my best friend, so I talk to her regularly on this topic, and I have learned just a huge amount from her. So come on down on the 12th of March and learn a little bit from her directly. And then, Reverend Mike, we've got the date on here correctly now. So we have set the date because we told you last week it was going to be April 2nd, but then we realized we were going to have the annual meeting on April 2nd. So we've switched it to April 30th from 1 to 3, and Reverend Mike will be telling you more about that as we get a little bit closer. But it's the Hacker's Toolkit, staying safe in cyberspace. Yes, sir. And then the nominating committee, which is Ruby and Frederick and Myrna and Deborah Glick and myself, we've put forward that the last day to apply for the board, if you want to be on a Ahiah board, is March 5th, which is a week from today. So if you're interested, you can always, scan the QR code, and it'll take you to our website that explains everything about what it means to be on the board. You do have to have been a member for a year to be on the board, and there's a few other things. And so the nominating committee then will take the applications and vet them against our bylaws and then make a recommendation to the board. And we will be having the annual meeting on April 2nd. And at that point, we'll be voting in our new board members, as well as talking about the finances here at Ahiah and where we want to go, where we've been, where we want to go, all the usual good stuff at our annual meeting. Everyone is invited, everyone. You do have to be a member of Ahiah, an actual, signed on the dotted line type of member to vote. But everybody is welcome to come to the meeting. And we're going to have a little bit of food before the meeting so that it's not so hard to be here until 3 o'clock. So put that on your calendar. That's April 2nd. I want to remind you about the book study. I talked about it earlier, The Way of Mastery. We also have a healing service on Wednesday. And would our practitioners that are here today stand up? I see Reverend Mike and Marcia and Chris. I know Jackie's back there in the back somewhere. And so any of them and myself, any of them and all of them would love to pray with you after service. Lisa also is a practitioner, by the way. So if you want a prayer, any of us would be happy to pray with you. We also have Ministry of Prayer online. You can go to ahiah.com/prayers to put in a prayer request. And we also do a weekly dial-a-prayer, just a quick lift me up that's on our website, or you can call into Ahiah, the main number, and go to option 7. It'll take you there. So, shall we do the benediction? All right. So the benediction is up on the screen here. Say it along with me. Even if you're at home, say it along with me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all of my affairs. I accept it, I am it, and I share it. Just the way it appears and just the way it appears not. Thank you, life. Amen and amen. So it's been a pleasure being here with you guys today. We have the fellowship hall. We've got coffee back there. I saw some donuts in there earlier. We would love to have you stick around. And remember, we have the workshop. If you've been in the workshop before, we have the last session of the workshop for a while coming up at 1 o'clock. Love to see you there. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Thank you, and namaste. Oh, also, we have fellowship with the people online. We've got the camera and everything up in that corner of the fellowship hall. So